Do you hear that? That means it's time to wake up, right? Well, it also means it's time to get woke. So my name is Tiffany, and I am a person who stutters and a speech language pathologist. Um, and today is an International Stuttering Awareness Day. So I'm going to take a couple minutes and I'm going to teach you guys about stuttering. So it's possible you guys have never met someone who stutters, or you've met someone but you didn't know they stutter. I think that a lot of people in my life, that's the case. People didn't know that I stuttered, but they met me. But because of that, you may not know how to react or interact with somebody who stutters. And you maybe are doing some things that are not helpful, and you just don't even know. So take the second to learn what to do and what not to do so that you can be a little more woke, and then you can be an ally for people who stutter. So first, I'm going to tackle some myths, and then I'll teach you guys some tips on how to interact with people who stutter. Myth number one. Stuttering is just something that everyone does, and it's not a big deal. So true and false, mostly false. So everyone stutters sometimes, but there's a really substantially different thing that you, as a fluent speaker, as a person who doesn't stutter, does than someone who does actually have a stutter. And so you guys might trip over your words when you're nervous or when you're talking faster than you can think or whatever. But when we stutter, we lose control of our speech, and we do it anytime. It's not just when we're nervous or when we're not sure what to say. It's all the time, and it is a big deal. And that is something that should be highlighted, because even if you stutter just a little bit, it can make a huge impact on your life and the way that you interact with the world and the jobs you take and everything. It can really just be really hard to deal with for people. Okay, myth number two. Stuttering is just caused by anxiety. Also false. So you maybe kind of got that impression in the last comment. But stuttering is made worse by anxiety, but it's definitely not caused by it. We as people who stutter have neurophysiological differences in our brains. So that essentially just means that our brains work differently. Does it mean that they work better or worse? No. It means that they work differently, and that the way that we, I guess, process information for speaking, or the parts of our brain that we use for speaking, work differently, and it results in kind of this stuttering. We don't really understand it, but it is nothing that we can control. I mean, we have some ways to kind of control, but there's nothing. Stuttering is not our fault. Stuttering is not something we try to do, and it's certainly not just when we're nervous or not sure what we're saying. Yeah. So there you go. Myth number three: people who stutter are not as smart as people who don't stutter. False. People who stutter are just the same as people who don't stutter, except they stutter. That's really substantially the only difference. So they are just as smart, maybe even smarter, and they can be just as well adjusted. They can be just as fulfilled and just as competent members of society. It's just that sometimes they have trouble saying words. Okay, so here are some tips on how to interact with somebody who stutters. So tip number one, don't finish our sentences. That's like a very common thing for people to do. As some people who stutter like it, most people who stutter don't. And it kind of sends a message that they don't talk well enough and that they can't communicate. And that's not a message you probably wanted to send. So just be aware when you're doing that, kind of what message you're sending with the things you're doing. Tip number two, when you're talking to someone who stutters, look at them in the eye. Don't look away out of awkwardness, or you think that they don't want to see you, or look down or anything like that. Look at them in the eye and just have natural eye contact. So don't do like this number where you're like staring at them because you know you're supposed to do that. A lot of speech therapists do that when they're first learning to have eye contact. But just like be normal. I mean, like when it comes down to it, all of the tips I'm going to give you are just to treat us normally. Unfortunately, we still have to say things like this because people don't treat us normally. So we still do these things. So whatever. Um, Tip number 3. It's not cute when you try to mock stuttering. It's not funny. It's not, I don't know, whatever you think it is. A lot of people when I'm stuttering will be like, "Oh, you want a coffee with 5 C's?" Or they'll be like, "Oh, sure, I'll get it," and like they'll stutter back to me, or they'll laugh because I think that I'm trying to be funny, or maybe because they're awkward. So all those things are like not great reactions, and so I would just encourage you to again to treat us normally and just listen to us. That's kind of really all we want. So do your best to do that. So now I'm just gonna wrap up by kind of sharing a little bit about my story, because this video I'm actually gonna post on Facebook, which I usually don't do, because I have spent so much of my life hiding my stuttering from everyone in my life, and a lot of people I know personally, like from my past, don't know that I stutter. And because I can hide it, like a lot of other people who stutter, there are weird tricks and things that we do sometimes to try to hide our stuttering or to try to control our stuttering. They don't really work very well, and they have impacts in other areas of our life. But we try to do them because stuttering is embarrassing and frustrating, and people don't treat us very well sometimes, and society has negative stereotypes about us, and so um, we do these things. And so I recently, a couple years ago, just kind of like started stuttering in front of people that I meet and talking about stuttering, to talking about my stuttering. I mean, I work with people who stutter as my job, and that is all because even though I can control my stuttering with a high degree of fluency, I can stutter very little when I'm controlling it a lot. It's so physically exhausting, and it makes me feel like garbage. It makes me feel like I'm pretending to be someone that I'm not, and I'm doing it just for other people. And that is just not the way that anyone should live their life. The way that we talk is okay. Stuttering is okay. And so society just needs to get used to it, and to just listen. We all could be a little bit more patient and listen a little more. And so I think that it's really important to also recognize that like just because someone doesn't stutter a lot doesn't mean it doesn't bother them. That doesn't mean it doesn't impact them a ton. Um, and if you don't hear someone stuttering, it doesn't mean they don't stutter. And so a lot of people in my life will be like, "Oh, you don't stutter. I never hear you stutter," or like, "It's not that bad." And those are all just like very invalidating. And so I would just encourage you to like just think about that when you talk to someone. I know that your intentions are no, not negative. Um, so anyway, yeah, I'm gonna wrap up there. I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you're a little more woke about stuttering. So go out and enjoy your day. Enjoy International Stuttering Awareness Day. And if you meet someone who stutters, then just listen to them and treat them normally, and embrace this day of awareness. So you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Bye.